This Wilson Prep video will guide you through the ins and outs of functions and how the function questions appear on both the SAT and ACT exams. Functions is another one of those topics that is easier than it appears. Taking the time to understand functions will greatly help you towards reaching your goal. So, what is a function? A function is a relationship where each input has only one designated output value. If confused, you can think of a function like a machine. You put something in, and after following some sort of process or rule, something will come out. The important thing to remember is that for each number you put in, there is only one corresponding output value. You can see the difference between what is and is not a function by looking at these tables and graphs. On the left, there is only one y value for each x value. On the right, an x value of -2 can give you a y value of either 6 or 20. You can determine if a graph is a function by using the vertical line test. Draw a vertical line somewhere on the graph. If the graph crosses the vertical line more than once, then it is not a function. The key to solving all function problems is knowing what your input and output values are and where to find them. Let's look at this example of a function. F of x equals x squared plus 3. This is the most common way a function is presented. The letter f is just the function name. While f is the most common function name, it doesn't have to be used. Any letter may replace f as the name of the function. Whatever appears inside the parentheses is the input value. F of x in its entirety is interchangeable with y. The y value is considered the output value. X squared plus 3 is the rule for finding the output value. Any number that appears alone on one side of the equal sign will be the output value. Going forward, it is vital to always ask yourself whether you are given the input or the output. Remember, the input is synonymous with the x value, and the output represents the y value. There are 3 different ways functions may appear on this exam: an equation, table, or graph. Let's take a minute to look closer at each one of these. An equation is the most common way you will see a function. You've already been introduced to this format. Let's look at another example. F of x equals 2x minus 3. For the vast majority of function questions, there are only truly 2 different things they can ask. The first is when they give you the input and ask for the output value. With an equation, it will appear like this. What is the value of f of 5? Here, you can see a number replaces the x. These problems are simple to solve. Just as you replace x in the parentheses, you also replace all the x's throughout the function. In this particular problem, you are replacing x with 5, but it doesn't always have to be this way. Whatever is inside the parentheses, whether it be a number, a variable, or possibly both, that is the value you will plug into x. After replacing x, calculate as you normally would. The second thing that may be asked is when the problem provides an output value and asks for what input value will lead to that output. It will appear like this. For what x value does f of x equal 27? Here, the problem tells you what f of x, or y, is equal to. Therefore, you can substitute the f of x with this value and solve. Now let's turn our attention to tables. Tables are simpler than equations because you don't have to do any calculations. However, it is easier to make a mistake when working with tables. The mistake most people make is by looking at the wrong column. Let's look at this first scenario. What is f of 8? Again, ask yourself, is the 8 the input or the output? It is inside the parentheses, therefore it is the input or x value. Because you are given the x value, you should first look at the column that is labeled x at the top. Then find that specific x value in the table and look at the corresponding number in the other column. The answer to this question would be 2. For which x value is f of x equal to -2? The process is the same. Is -2 the input or the output? In this case, it is the output or the y value. You will look at the column with the function name at the top, f of x. Find the value and the corresponding number in the opposite column. for this question, the answer is -8. The process does not change much when we work with graphs. You will still start by asking if you have the input or the output value. For the first question, what is f of 5, you are given the x value. Therefore, you will travel along the x-axis first to the given number. Then you will travel along the y-axis to wherever the graph lies. Follow the same steps when given the output, like in the question, for which x value is f of x equal to -4. The only difference is, because you are given the y value, you must first travel along the y-axis until you reach -4. Then move either left or right to a spot where the graph exists. So that is all the basics you need to know in order to get the majority of function questions correct. You may feel as though it is extremely repetitive, and you'd be right. Functions truly are a lot simpler than they appear. Remember to check out our channel for more helpful tips and how-to videos. Finally, be sure to go to www.wilsondailyprep.com for more online test prep, including daily SAT and ACT practice questions. Daily practice is the key to testing success.